What if the most evil villain in your story was simultaneously also its greatest victim? I've spent over 2 decades crafting and analyzing fantasy worlds, and I've discovered that the most compelling villains are often those trapped in a web of their own suffering. So in this video, I'll reveal the secrets to creating these complex characters that will burrow into your reader's psyche and refuse to let go. You'll discover how to weave mythical curses into your villain's backstory, craft internal conflicts that rival external battles, and create moral dilemmas that will challenge your reader's perceptions of good and evil. Now, the concept of cursed villains is as old as storytelling itself. From ancient Greek myths to medieval folklore, cursed antagonists have been captivating audiences for millennia. Let me start by sharing a classic example: King Midas. Midas, in his greed, wished for the golden touch from Dionysus. The god granted this wish, but Midas soon realized the horrifying consequences. Everything he touched turned to gold, including his food, drink, and eventually his daughter. This curse transformed Midas from a greedy king into a tragic figure trapped by his own desires. Now, let me tell you a bit more about the complex figure of Medusa next. In the earliest known versions of her myth, Medusa was born a Gorgon, a monstrous creature with snakes for hair who could turn people to stone with a glance. However, later versions of the myth, particularly those from the Roman poet Ovid, added a tragic backstory. In this version, Medusa was originally a beautiful maiden and a priestess of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and the crafts. Medusa caught the eye of Poseidon, who assaulted her in Athena's temple. Athena, enraged by this desecration of her sacred place, rather than going after Poseidon, punished Medusa by transforming her into the monstrous Gorgon we know. This transformation presents Medusa as both victim and monster, a duality that makes her a fascinating study in the concept of cursed beings. Overall, mythological figures like these two teach us a crucial lesson. Curses add layers of complexity to our antagonists. They are not just evil for evil's sake. They are trapped, suffering, and often acting of desperation or pain. But how do we translate these ancient concepts into modern fantasy writing? Let me explain to you the anatomy of a curse and how it can shape your villain. There are 4 core components to a curse that all work together to create a narrative of tragedy and terror. First, we have the trigger. Every curse has a catalyst, but this can vary widely. Picture this: a once noble knight, Sir Aldrich, sworn to protect the innocent, now prowls the night as a bloodthirsty creature compelled to hunt those he once safeguarded. For Sir Aldrich, it was a moment of weakness, accepting a bribe that led to the death of innocents. However, as seen in the case of Medusa, the trigger can also be an injustice inflicted upon the character. No matter what though, the trigger should be a pivotal moment that alters the character's life trajectory, whether it's a personal choice, an act of gods, or cruel twist of fate. Then there's a punishment. The curse itself often reflects the trigger in some way. In Aldrich's case, his betrayal of the innocent transformed him into a beast that preys on them, a fitting punishment for his crime. Whatever it is though, the punishment should serve as a constant reminder of the trigger event, whether it's deserved or unjust. The third component then is irony. A well-crafted curse often twists the victim's greatest strength, deepest desire, or core identity in unexpected ways. Aldrich's oath to protect, for example, becomes a compulsion to hunt, completely inverting his original purpose. This ironic element adds layers of internal conflict and can drive the character's actions throughout your story. And then we have the loophole. Every curse needs a potential way out, no matter how difficult or severe. Perhaps Aldrich can break his curse by saving as many lives as he's taken, an almost impossible task given his new nature. For Medusa, her curse ended only in death, with her severed head still retaining its power. The loophole, if present, serves multiple narrative purposes. It offers a glimmer of hope, it drives the character's motivations, and it can create compelling plot arcs. All these elements intertwine to create villains who are both terrifying and tragic. When crafting your own cursed villain, consider how each of these components can reflect and reinforce your themes. The trigger might speak to the consequences of moral compromise, or the capriciousness of fate. The punishment could explore ideas of justice, vengeance, or unintended consequences. The irony often highlights the character's tragic flaw or the cruel twists of destiny, while the loophole can embody themes of redemption, the nature of evil, or the inescapability of one's past. A great curse is like a boomerang. No matter how far the character tries to run, it always catches up with them. Now, having the core elements clarified, let me show you how to weave these elements together to craft a compelling cursed villain for your own story. Because creating a cursed villain isn't just about slapping a supernatural affliction on a bad guy. It's about finding the right combination of motivations, conflicts, and consequences. Let me break it down for you step by step. Start with the person, not the curse. Before you decide on the curse, flesh out who the villain was before. What were their dreams, their fears, their moral code? The more vivid this picture, the more impactful the curse will be. Then design the curse carefully. It should be a twisted reflection of your villain's past or personality. If they were vain, perhaps they are cursed with a hideous appearance. If they were a liar, maybe they are cursed to always speak the truth, no matter how painful. The next step is to create internal conflict. The curse should force your villain to grapple with difficult choices. Maybe they can temporarily alleviate their suffering by causing harm to others. This internal struggle adds depth to their character. From here, consider the wider impact. How does the curse affect those around the villain? Family, friends, subjects? This can add layers of complexity to your story and create interesting subplots. We also need to make sure to plan the character arc. Will your villain fight against the curse? Embrace it? Or will they change over the course of the story? With all this in mind, let's revisit Sir Aldrich and see how he exemplifies these 5 steps. Before the curse, Aldrich was a respected knight known for his bravery and dedication to protecting the innocent. However, he harbored a secret weakness for gold stemming from a childhood of poverty. This backstory creates a character with both admirable qualities and a fatal flaw, setting the stage for his tragic fall. Then there's the curse. Transformed into a beast that hunts innocents, Aldrich's curse is a cruel inversion of his former role. This punishment not only fits his crime of betraying those he swore to protect, but also forces him to confront the consequences of his actions every night. The physical transformation reflects his internal corruption, making the abstract concept of betrayal tangible and terrifying. Then we have the internal conflict. Aldrich struggles between his human conscience and beastly urges, creating a constant battle within himself. This internal strife can be used to explore themes of identity, free will, and the nature of good and evil. His moments of lucidity, where he realizes the horror of his actions, can be particularly poignant and add depth to his character. Now let's look at the wider impact here. Aldrich's nightly hunts terrorize the kingdom he once protected, creating an atmosphere of fear and mistrust. This can be used to explore how a community reacts to threat and betrayal. Former friends might become his hunters, while some might seek to understand and help him, adding layers of moral complexity to your story. And then we have his character arc. Aldrich's journey from denial to acceptance, and finally a desperate quest for redemption, offers rich storytelling possibilities. By following these steps, you'll create a villain who's not just an obstacle for your hero, but a nuanced, multi-dimensional character that challenges his readers' expectations and moral judgments. Moving on, let's zoom out here for a bit and see how these cursed villains can reshape your entire fantasy world. You see, curses aren't just character devices, they are world-building goldmines. Think about it, in a world where curses are real, how would society adapt? What institutions might arise? What new forms of power or conflict could emerge? Let's return to Sir Aldrich's world for a moment here. In this realm, curses are a known quantity, feared and respected. This opens up a wealth of world-building possibilities. First, we have curse breakers, a specialized group of magic users who study and attempt to lift curses. They're part scholar, part exorcist, all badass. Then we have curse markets, dark secretive places where people trade in curses and curse-breaking items. Imagine the shady deals and dangerous artifacts you could introduce. And then there are cursed laws. How does the legal system deal with cursed individuals? Are they held responsible for actions committed under the influence of a curse? And what about curse-based warfare? Imagine a kingdom that uses strategic cursing as a weapon. The ethical implications could drive an entire plot. By integrating curses into your world's fabric, you create a richer, more dynamic setting for your stories. It's not just about the cursed villain anymore. It's about how the entire world reacts to and revolves around the concept of curses. But let's not forget, at the heart of this cursed world obviously is still our villain, locked in an eternal struggle with themselves. A well-crafted cursed villain isn't just a character, they are a plot engine. Their very existence creates conflict, raises stakes, and poses questions that your story must answer. Let's see how Sir Aldrich's curse could drive a narrative. First we have the mystery. How did Aldrich become cursed? This question could fuel the first act of our story, drawing readers in with intrigue. Then we have the hunt. As Aldrich's nightly rampages terrorize the kingdom, our protagonist might be tasked with stopping him. But as they learn more about the curse, the lines between hunter and hunted blur. And then there are moral dilemmas. Once our hero discovers Aldrich's tragic past, they're faced with a choice. Destroy the monster or try to save the man. This conflict could be the crux of your story's climax. And then there's the race against time. Perhaps the curse grows stronger with each passing day, adding urgency to the hero's quest. With all these benefits and opportunities already, we also have to consider the ripple effect. Aldrich's actions under the curse could have far-reaching consequences, creating subplots and affecting other characters' arcs. By intertwining your cursed villain's personal struggle with the larger plot, you create a story that's both intimately character-driven and epically high stakes. Now, if you found anything useful in the video so far, please consider giving it a like to help me grow the channel. Thank you. Moving on, let me explain how a cursed villain can push your hero to their moral limits. Imagine you're the hero facing Sir Aldrich. You've witnessed his brutal attacks and you've seen the devastation he's caused. But you've also learned of his tragic past, his nightly struggle against the curse. What would you do? This is the beauty of a cursed villain. They force your hero, and by extension your readers, to grapple with complex moral questions. Is the villain responsible for actions committed under the curse? Does the villain's suffering outweigh the harm they've caused? Is redemption possible for someone who's done terrible things, even unwillingly? At what point does self-defense against a cursed individual become cruelty? These questions don't have easy answers, and that's exactly the point. They challenge your hero, force them to grow, and keep your readers intellectually and emotionally engaged. For example, our hero might start this story seeing Aldrich as a simple monster to be slain. But as they learn more, their perspective shifts. They might begin to see Aldrich as a victim, someone to be saved rather than destroyed. This evolution in the hero's viewpoint can mirror their own character growth. By using your cursed villain to pose these ethical dilemmas, you elevate your story from a simple tale of good versus evil to a nuanced exploration of morality and human nature. But what about the villain's journey then? Is there hope for redemption? Or are they doomed to remain cursed forever? Now, redemption arcs are powerful storytelling tools, and cursed villains are perfect candidates for this transformative journey. But be warned, redemption should never be easy or guaranteed. It should be a hard-fought battle that tests the villain's resolve and forces them to confront their own nature. Let's consider Sir Aldrich's potential path to redemption, which unfolds in 4 crucial stages. The journey often begins with denial. In this phase, Aldrich might revel in his newfound power, justifying his actions as righteous punishment for the kingdom's corruption. This stage allows us to explore the seductive nature of power and the ease with which one can rationalize evil acts. It also sets up a stark contrast for the character development to come, making the eventual turn towards redemption all the more impactful. Now, as the story progresses, we enter the realization phase. Here, the full horror of Aldrich's actions begins to sink in. He starts to fight against his curse, perhaps seeking isolation to protect others from his monstrous urges. This stage is ripe for internal conflict as Aldrich grapples with his dual nature and the consequences of his past choices. It's an opportunity to delve into themes of guilt, self-loathing, and the struggle for control. The third stage then is atonement. Aldrich could start using his cursed form to protect the innocent, fighting against his nature with every action. This phase is where the real work of redemption begins. It's not enough to feel remorse. Aldrich must actively work to right his wrongs. This stage can be filled with setbacks and small victories, showing the difficult and often non-linear nature of personal growth and redemption. Finally, we reach the culmination of Aldrich's journey, sacrifice. This is the ultimate test. Would Aldrich be willing to sacrifice himself to break the curse and save others? This stage allows for a powerful climax, where all the character development comes to a head. It's a moment of truth that reveals whether Aldrich has truly changed, or if his old selfish nature will reassert itself when everything is on the line. The journey to redemption isn't just about the villain becoming good. It's about them reclaiming their humanity, facing their flaws, and striving to be better despite overwhelming odds. Each state of the redemption arc offers opportunities to explore complex themes and challenge both the characters and the reader's perceptions. But redemption isn't the only possible ending for a cursed villain. First we have tragedy. Perhaps the villain fails to break their curse, serving as a cautionary tale about the consequences of our actions. Then there's acceptance. The villain might come to terms with their curse, finding a way to exist without causing harm. This bittersweet ending can be deeply moving. There's also transformation. The curse could fundamentally change the villain, creating a new being that's neither the original person nor the cursed monster. Of course, you can also leave it open-ended. Leaving the villain's fate ambiguous can be powerful, allowing readers to ponder the themes of your story long after they finished reading. For Sir Aldrich, we could imagine a resolution where he sacrifices himself to save the kingdom from a greater threat, using his cursed form one last time for good. Or perhaps he finds a way to control his transformation, becoming a nocturnal protector of the realm that he once terrorized. Whatever ending you choose, it should resonate with the themes of your story and provide a satisfying conclusion to the villain's internal and external conflicts. In the end, cursed villains offer us a mirror to our own struggles with morality, fate, and the consequences of our choices. They remind us that even in the darkest of circumstances, the potential for change, for better or worse, always exists. So as you craft your next fantasy epic, consider the power of the curse. Create villains who are as tormented as they are terrifying, and as sympathetic as they are sinister. But having said all this, cursed villains are of course not the only way of adding some villainous spice to your story dish. Sometimes choosing something twisted and witty is the exact right way to go. So check out this video here where I walk you through the gray areas of trickster villains and how they can turn the concept of good and evil on its head.